The truth occurs.
Hi everyone, Sonia here. I wanted to give you some information about what I discovered about thyroid issues since my last video where I told you that they found that I have nodules in my thyroid. I'm going to tell you what I discovered about what I have and some things that I found out about what happens when you have a thyroid problem and about the medical system and what your alternatives are. Oh, I just wanted to say I do have a Patreon and I really appreciate your support on there. If you become a Patreon, you have access to the feed, the videos that I have on there. Also, you can message me. I also do Skype interviews on Patreon if you want to talk to me directly. So yeah, please check out my Patreon. So I found out after my appointment that what I have is called a multinodular goiter. Oh, that sounds really glamorous. There's two reasons why you can have this. Either it's iodine deficiency, which is unlikely because salt is iodized. I'm actually kind of thinking, even though they say it's rare, because my diet is very like whole foods, really natural, and because I was using Himalayan salt, maybe I got iodine deficiency. I don't know. I still think it's probably unlikely. But anyway, that's one of the things. What you do in that case, if it's iodine deficiency, is you take iodine. The other thing is something called Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune condition where your body starts attacking the thyroid. And in that case, taking iodine is apparently a bad idea, from what I've heard. It is possible that this is what I've had because I've had these problems with fatigue and stuff like that for quite a few years. And actually for years, people were telling me they saw something about my throat. A few people even thought I had an Adam's apple, which, you know, I don't. I have a goiter. Well, that word, you know, it's goiter. You know, this is why you can't just like figure it out yourself. You'd have to get tested. So first of all, if you want to know if it's from one or the other, you get tested for anti-thyroid antibodies. This will tell you if you have Hashimoto's or not. So with Hashimoto's, you get many little nodules in your thyroid. Usually nodules in the thyroid are very low risk for cancer, and this is what the ENT said to me. He's like, oh, you know, the risk is really low. I googled it. It turns out a lot of women after the age of 40 might have 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 nodules in the thyroid. Usually the risk is very low. However, for Hashimoto's, the risk of it becoming cancerous is 20%. So it's kind of a different situation. So he was telling me, come back for an ultrasound in like months or a year. At the time I thought, okay, this is no big deal, I'll just do that. Now I'm thinking, because I have one that's bigger than the others, that seems like a long time to wait. So what they usually do in that case is they'll biopsy with a needle the one that's bigger to make sure that there is no cancer. So here's the thing, what do you do if you have Hashimoto's? Because an autoimmune condition. I thought, well, I'll go see my GP, already made an appointment, and I'll ask him to send me to an endocrinologist. Well, I joined some thyroid support groups on Facebook and I quickly found out that they call it endocrinologist because they say your endo will make you cry, because apparently they deal with people who have diabetes. They would deal with people who have primary hypothyroidism, thyroid just not working for just no reason. If you turn out to have antibodies and you have Hashimoto's, they'll tell you, you have an autoimmune condition. We don't deal with autoimmune conditions. So basically you're screwed. Like the endocrinologist, from what I'm hearing, they turn out to be not helpful. So what do you do? If you really have a totally dysfunctional thyroid, they can take it out, put you on Synthroid. That's one option. If you have nodules and they do a biopsy and it turns out there's cancer, obviously they take out your thyroid, put you on Synthroid. Usually they won't just take out your thyroid and put you on Synthroid unless it really has to be done. So the endocrinologist usually won't do that unless it gets really bad. So then what can you do? So that's of course what I've been trying to figure out in the meantime. And at this point, what I decided I'm going to do, although yes, I'm going to follow up with my doctor, try to find out if I have the antibodies, because autoimmune disease is one of those things where, at least in the Canadian healthcare system, it's hard to really get help. Like if you have a car accident, they'll patch you up, they'll take really good care of you. If you get an infection and you end up in the hospital, they'll take really great care of you. But if you have some kind of weird chronic condition like an autoimmune disorder, you might just find you're sort of get the runaround and get backburnered, and they don't really do much because probably they really don't know what to do. So what I discovered, one really interesting thing, was concerning B vitamins. I have MTRR, which is like MTHFR, but apparently not as bad. And it makes it that I don't absorb B12 and B6 unless it's in the active form, maybe also folate. So I already knew this, and I have these B vitamins, and I did notice that when I take them, I seem to feel better, I have more energy. So what I found out now is that for people with the thyroid disorder and Hashimoto's, the B vitamins are really important and can really help with the condition. Although, you know why? I don't know. You got a thyroid here, and you know the B vitamins or something, it seems totally different. But apparently this is very important. So I started taking the B vitamins again, and I do notice I have more energy today. I mean, a lot of days I'd feel like everything was just drained from my body. Today I feel like okay energy-wise. And the other thing that I'm going to do, I decided, is acupuncture, because that had worked for me for other things in the past. It's kind of expensive. But I believe in it. I believe that it really rebalances your body. Now, there's the other thing, which is homeopathy. I had some good success with that for some things in the past too. Actually, I had seen a homeopath years ago in 2014 when this started getting bad, and she had prescribed for me something called HPTP. There's this hypothalamus pituitary thyroid axis. They all work together. That was helpful in the past, so I'm gonna see if I can get some of that and try that again. Also, I found out that there's a connection with menopause. My doctor was like, oh, this happens to women as they get older, that's just par for the course. But it's not just like, oh, you have menopause, that's why you're tired. It turns out like when you get menopause, because it's a hormonal thing, it can throw off your other hormones. So there is a connection with menopause and thyroid problems, but that doesn't mean it's okay and you should just live with it. And there's just one other thing, which is that some people are hyperthyroid, like Graves' disease, and they're very wound up and all this kind of thing, and they lose weight. And there's people who are hypothyroid, which is, I guess, what I am for the most part, where you have trouble keeping weight off, you feel really tired all the time. Your hair is brittle. Now I know why, no matter what I do, my hair is so dry and brittle, you know? And then there's also the case, which I think applies to me, where it can be like this, where like most of the time you might be down here hypothyroid, but you might have spikes. You remember in my kratom video where I said it was like I was almost manic? I think I know why now, because this happens from time to time. Not really manic like bipolar. I'm not, you know, going like delusional or whatever, but my energy goes like that. And there have been times where I had this and I put up all kinds of shelves because I was like, oh, thank God I have energy now. So then I would do all the stuff that was backburnered before, I put up all my shelves or whatever. And I just realized, I think my thyroid is going like this because mostly I'm tired, but sometimes I have these spikes. And it just happened a couple nights ago. Now I know why this happens. Maybe I went to bed and I discovered that I absolutely can't sleep. It's not because I'm ruminating. It's not because I'm anxious about something. It's just my body just won't sleep. Usually I would worry about it, like, oh, maybe if I lie here long enough, I'll fall asleep. I try to take some herbs or something, but I thought, I think it's my thyroid. There's something physically like wrong or whatever with me. So I'm just going to make use of the energy. So I got up and I cleaned up the living room and I did some things. And I was thinking, I think that this is why from time to time I have like 2 or 3 or 4 days in a row where I have a lot of energy, but then I can't sleep at all. So yeah, you'll go to a doctor and you tell them about your symptoms and they'll be like, oh, it's because, you know, you're a mom of a child with special needs, you got a lot going on, you got a lot of stress, so, you know, you're tired, or it's your attitude. Oh, you know, let's look at how you're thinking. Maybe we can change like the way you look at things. And it's so frustrating because you'll be there and you'll be like, no, there's something wrong. Like what? It's not here. I was never like this before. I was the person who always worked 3 jobs, worked hard in school, was very active, full of energy, lots of humor. Like I was never this kind of like person who's dragged out. So why is it in here? There's maybe something in my body that's making me tired, you know? So it turns out it's not in here. It's probably in here. So I'm actually kind of glad like they finally found something, because now I can go and I'll be like, look, my thyroid is screwed up, so don't tell me I'm tired because I have a bad attitude, you know? Anyway, so that's it. Also, like, let me know if you've dealt with thyroid issues, what was helpful for you. You know, let me know how it's going. Yeah, the system is apparently not very good for like anything autoimmune. And I'm thinking my best bets right now, what I'm doing, the B vitamins, acupuncture, and homeopathy. And I'll let you know down the road how it goes. So thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you next time.